All right, today we are going to dive into a really powerful psychological tool, one that can explain so much of the conflict we run into in our daily lives. We're talking about how to break free from what's known as the drama triangle.
You know that feeling, right? Where you feel like you're stuck in a loop with someone, maybe a partner, a coworker, even a family member. It's like you're reading from a script. You say your line, they say theirs, and absolutely nothing gets resolved. It's just exhausting, and it feels like a game you can never win.
Well, it turns out there's actually a name for that pattern. It's called the drama triangle, and it's a brilliant framework for understanding these really dysfunctional roles we tend to fall into, especially when we're stressed or in the middle of a conflict. It helps us see the root cause of so many of those unhealthy interactions. So to really get how this works, you've got to meet the players. There are three very distinct roles people take on in this triangle. And what's wild is that we can actually jump between all three of them, sometimes in the span of a single conversation. Okay, so the triangle is made up of these three roles. First, you've got the victim, and their whole mindset is about feeling powerless. Then there's the persecutor, who's all about blame. And finally, you have the rescuer, who feels this deep need to save everyone else, usually forgetting about their own needs in the process. Let's dig into the victim a little more. Now, this isn't about someone who's genuinely been victimized. It's a mindset. The victim feels completely helpless, like life is just a thing that happens to them. They don't take responsibility, and that keeps them stuck, always looking for a rescuer to swoop in and save the day.
Next up, the persecutor. This role is all about control and blame. The persecutor is often hiding their own insecurity and fear by pointing the finger at everybody else. They get this false sense of being superior by putting the victim down, telling them, "See, it's all your fault." And then we have the rescuer. Now, this one sounds like the good guy, right? But it is absolutely a trap. The rescuer gets their sense of self-worth from jumping in to save the victim. When they say, "Oh, poor you, I'll fix it," what they're really doing is creating dependency. They stop the victim from ever learning how to solve their own problems. So here's the bottom line. Victim, persecutor, rescuer. And honestly, it doesn't matter which role you're in. The whole thing is an unwinnable game. Staying on this triangle just drains your energy, it's terrible for your mental health, and it can completely destroy the relationships that matter most to you.
But here's the really good news. You don't have to play. You can actually choose to opt out. So now, let's get into exactly how to leave this whole game behind for good.
This right here is the single most important idea to grab onto. Look, we're never going to get rid of conflict in our lives. It's just a normal part of being human. But the drama, the toxic roles, that endless spinning cycle, that is a choice. And you always have the power to choose something different.
The alternative, the antidote to the drama triangle is something called the empowerment dynamic. I want you to think of it as a way to flip those toxic roles on their head and turn them into something that's powerful, healthy, and constructive. This is how you take your power back.
So what does this actually look like in the real world? Well, instead of just reacting out of fear or helplessness, you start actively choosing from a place of empowerment. So let's meet the new players in this much healthier game. Okay, this slide, this is where it all clicks. This is the big aha moment. Every single drama role has an empowered counterpart. The victim can transform into the creator. That's a shift from just reacting to actively choosing. The persecutor becomes the challenger, moving from blame to assertiveness. And the rescuer evolves into the coach, shifting from telling people what to do to asking powerful questions.
Let's break these down real quick. A creator, they take responsibility for their life, and they focus on solutions, on outcomes. A challenger, they don't blame, they challenge assumptions to help everyone learn and grow. And a coach doesn't save people. They empower them by asking great questions because they trust that other people can find their own answers.
Now, I know this can feel like a lot to take in at once. So let's just focus on one really practical, totally actionable first step. For a lot of people, the single most powerful shift you can make is moving from victim to creator. This is where you can start to see real, immediate changes in your life.
So becoming a creator, it means you have to consciously give up certain behaviors. Things like making excuses, complaining all the time, focusing on what's wrong, and instead, you actively adopt new behaviors. You start looking for solutions, you accept responsibility, and you open yourself up to learning from what's happening.
You know, one of the most powerful and simple tools for making this shift is your language. Seriously, just the words you use. A victim says, "I can't." A creator asks, "Okay, how can I?" A victim says, I have to do this. A creator says, I choose to do this. Just by changing your words, you can literally reframe your entire mindset and open up a world of new possibilities.
So here it is, a concrete 4-step game plan you can start using today. First, write down a specific goal. Second, list the roadblocks you think you might hit, just so you're ready for them. Third, think about your strengths and how you can use them to get there. And fourth, this is the most important part. Create a real game plan with small daily actions that will move you forward.
And please, remember, this is not about being a perfect creator 24/7. Nobody is. The goal is simply to be aware. The second you notice you're slipping into that victim or persecutor or rescuer role, that awareness right there is what gives you the power to make a different choice. So at the end of the day, it all comes down to this. You can see the roles now. You can see the traps and you can see the path out. The whole game board is laid out in front of you. So the only real question left is, who will you choose to be?